I think I provided a service. Maybe not everybody wants to try these slightly unusual recipes, but they give you a much clearer feeling and understanding of what people thought was elegant and appropriate for an upper class person. And with the costume books, then you could say, okay, maybe I'm not going to use exactly their techniques, but I'm going to make it look as much like it as I can. And there are a lot of people at Pennsic who sell a couple of books, but I had the most. And I was in the booksellers row tent. Originally, there were 4 of us. There was Carol Thomas Small Churl and Janet Castle Furnishings and Gwyneth Drusilla Meany Herbert, who was the Haunted Bookshop, and there was me. So you could come in and find a lot of variety. Very few of us overlapped on the titles, and you could walk in and it was sort of like a supermarket, and you could get wonderful books. Now there's just a Haunted Bookshop. She has a book wagon, but of course she can't possibly have as many different titles. She just doesn't have the room. We used to rent our tent. We all started out in Bazaar number 2. And then when the Coopers decided they needed that space for a playground, we said, well, we get along pretty well and we have great stuff, so why don't we get our own tent and we can share it? So we rented a tent from Grimm's, and after them, when they closed, we went to T&M Hardware, and they would come put it up, and if you complained enough about the leaks, they would come and patch them, although we did a certain amount with duct tape stuck on the end of a cane, and you would poke it up at the leak in the ceiling. And they had really good tables. You could dance on the tables. One time, Gwyneth, Haunted Bookshop, sold used books, rare books, old books, so a lot of hardcovers and heavy. And she had these folding wooden bookshelves that are also pretty heavy. She brought in a plastic table. Well, she put the bookcase on the table and she filled it with books, and the table folded in half. But fortunately I had a spare that I could lend her, and after that she just rented them from the company because they were really good tables. But I would try and get someone to come and autograph. And I had the official cookbook from the Game of Thrones, and a lot of people bought that, even though that's not really medieval at all. One time Karayadak was supposed to come and autograph his books, and he couldn't come, so he sent me a bunch of book plates that he'd signed, and I put them into the books as I sold them. It was an enormous amount of work, but it was fun. And I miss it. The doctor said don't pick up heavy things, so that sort of put the kibosh on it, because I could pack my boxes so they weren't too heavy, but there was no way I could tell the people who were selling me the books, the wholesalers, don't make the box more than 60 pounds because I can't pick it up. They would have just laughed. So we did a class at Pennsic called So You Want to Be a Merchant, full of good advice and sensible thoughts like, don't decide you're going to give up your day job, even if you make the most wonderful armor in the whole world, because sales at Ren fairs are always a little iffy.